Seriously, go tell a friend right now, for real. Joseph R. Wheeler III, artist, founder, president of the ONYXCON Foundation. Let go. I was live earlier. I'll pick up right where I left off. Ah, man, yeah. Well, all they gotta do is get a little bit warm, and you ain't got to tell yourself to drink no water. You want that water. You be like, damn. Just get a little bit over 65 degrees. You're 70 at least. 75 for sure. You gonna want some water. You ain't gonna be out there talking about, I don't like drinking water. I bet you gonna drink some damn water. Unless you wanna pass the hell out. For real talk. So, I was starting to talk about God of War, because that is a very popular topic right now. And it's always been a game that I was intrigued by, but I admit my history with the game, I had not played the first Greek trilogy. I don't know. I thought it looked cool, but at the same time, I wish the graphics had been better. Even back when it first came out, I wasn't like overly impressed with the graphics. For its time, it was not, in my remembrance, they weren't the top graphics of the time. They were okay. They were pretty basic, but they were the top of basic. I put it like that. Like everything goes in tiers. For what was basic, they were the top of that. Conceptually, it was before its time. A lot of the creatures, the world building, the character development, all of that had been seen before, but rarely on the level of epic storytelling scope of the first ones. And I was looking at a video just the other night. Somebody compiled all of the cutscene movies of the Greek trilogy and put it in one big video. That thing long as hell. I was on the phone talking to somebody while I was looking at it, so I really wasn't listening to it, but I was seeing the visuals in the background, and I was like, wow, this is a lot. This is way more than I thought was in this game. Like, honestly, I didn't know it was that rich in all the different character development and all the crazy worlds and monsters and bosses that you had to fight and stuff. It was really on some other stuff, right? Because people have their favorite battles, and most people just show the same ones over and over and over again. So it made me think that's all there was just those few that everybody always talks about. But no, it's a heck of a lot more. Heck of a lot more. So once I started checking that out, I said, okay, all right. It makes me want to play it. Like, I wish I could find it. Maybe I can find it, used or whatever, $5 a game, something like that. Because I ain't really trying to spend, crazy money on. But the thing about it is, as soon as they announce another game like they have announced, they're going to do the remakes of the original trilogy. Of course, everybody's thinking, those who didn't play it or want to get it back to play it again, they're doing the same thing I'm thinking. So that's going to make the price go. I don't know. I haven't checked it, but I'm more than sure the price probably jumped right back up. If it was going down, it'll jump back up. Like, the greatest hits, or, you get the PlayStation greatest hits, and they be affordable. I bet you the price don't even went up on those, because it's just hype. Whatever they can make a mint off of, they're going to be like, all right, we got people interested in it again. Gouge the price. Like, why? Like, damn, just make more of them. Yeah, you can still make it, but you ain't got to be gouging the price. But anyway, that's logic, and this is not a logical economy. Nothing about it is logical. So anyway, I'm thinking I want to play it just to know what happened and how it happened, and be able to compare it later on, years from now, when we get, what will be the new game. Because obviously it's going to take years. Announcements are great. They get people hyped, people excited. People think, oh man, oh wow, that's coming. Yeah, coming, but coming for a long time. Like, it's going to be just like Cyberpunk. The next Cyberpunk game. I'm of course, every day I'm thinking, it crosses my mind in the back of my mind. It's back in the back, because I know how far we got to go. It's 5 years of development. We're in 2030, and we might, luckily, if they're smart, because I think it's good to do that. I think, well, I don't even have to say this. They are that smart. They're going to do that. When they drop this new Cyberpunk animation on Netflix, I guarantee you, just like they did in the first one, in Edge Runners. They had a little clip that was promoting the DLC. You know, it was a thing promoting well, actually, I'm sorry. There was a clip of Edge Runners in the game, part of the DLC. You know what I'm saying? If you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. You could get this little brain dance that gave you a scene from the Edge Runners anime. So I'm saying they cross-reference. That's what I meant to say. They cross-reference the anime to the game. I think the opposite will happen. I think the anime will cross-reference the game when they drop that next one. I really do. I think they're going to do that so that they can, you know, push people over to that. Get them ready for that. Get them hyped, because you know you got to wait years. But all you got to do is feed people one image. I mean, look at what happened with one image from this new God of War series. I mean, I did a little thing about it because I knew people want to see it. That got hundreds of views. No, did it hit thousands? I always forget which one hit thousands. I put so many shorts up per day, but I know it hit hundreds. Like within the first hour of me having dropped it, it had already hit like 200 or 300 or something. You know, so people want to know. People want to know what's going on, and that's all you got to do. I mean, if you just drop some concept art, I've always thought that right there alone is one of the most unutilized tools of promotion. Have you ever noticed that with most, I'm not saying all, but most video games, most movies, we gotta wait till the thing actually comes out to see concept art? I've never quite understood. I do understand it, and at the same time I don't, because I'm in the biz, and I'm saying this. If you give people the concept art to get them, because they're already making up their own damn storylines and fan fictions and stuff that we all do when we fantasize about what we hope will be the game or the movie or whatever, right? When you gotta wait years for it to come out after it's been announced. Why not just, give people, don't give them the sketch that has not been approved, so that then it, you know, people run wild with it, make cosplays off it, because you know they're gonna do it. They're gonna do everything with it. So, you know, you don't want them running wild with something that's going to be completely non-canon later, or become grounds for, because all they care about is it going to get in the way of the money when we finally do drop the official thing. Are you not going to buy the real toy because you preferred the other version that was the concept art that was not approved, or was approved but not a final take? You know what I mean? It wasn't what you're going to end up seeing in the movie or the TV show or the game or whatever. So, you know, as long as it's within the range of that, I say let them out. You know, put that stuff out, let that hype people up and get them talking forever, and it just becomes this thing. And plus, as artists, people who love the arts, we love that. I mean, like, I can't tell you how many books I have of, you know, the art of the making of, the art of this, the art of that. I love those books. That's my favorite, some of my favorite books in my book collection, you know? So it's great to hit people with that stuff early and get them wondering, does this mean such and such? But I mean, you know, that's what you do. It'll work. Trust me. Yeah, that's what they should do, in my opinion. And then you kill some of that other stuff too that happens with folks who abuse the AI. Like, you know, I use AI, but I always say there's ethical AI, and then there's all that other stuff, what they call the AI slop. You know, you can get to the point where it's all slop because you're feeding slop. Like, the longer you have to wait for something to come out, it's gonna breed slop. You've got to give people something to shut this. You got to give them some real stuff to shut up the fakers. That makes the fakers sit down, because they realize they'll be unaccredited. No one's gonna believe them anyway because they've already seen the official thing, and then everybody's gonna weigh anything that comes out that's slop against the official. It might be enjoyable if it's honest and, like I say, ethical. Like, you like, yo, this is a fan fiction thing, this is fan base. But I hate when I see the ones that's like the real trailer for such and such, and they just trying to get, you know, they trying to get the numbers, and they get them. They get them if they drop it at just the right time. That stuff go through the millions, man. You see it all over YouTube. You drop it on the right day at the right time. Oh my gosh! Like, as I speak, I'm sure somebody's saying official trailer for God of War, the series. Man, how you got an official trailer and all we got is one image from the show that's official? How you? But that's the kind of stuff they do. That's the kind of silly stuff they do, and it's ridiculous. But they love to do that, right? And you almost can't stop it at this point. It's become a tradition of the way fandom works in this atmosphere, you know. But anyway, back to the God of War thing. So I think, you know, I've seen a lot of people talking about various things about it. Of course, people are just trying to hit hot topics. So I saw a couple of people do videos saying Kratos is black. And of course I love that, you know, as a black man, but I'm laughing too at the same time, because I'm like, okay, I know where you're going with this, but how far are you going into this? So I looked at one, and it was a group of YouTubers. It's 4 black guys, and they obviously do fan reaction videos, analysis, what have you. They have a little, you know, home studio situation. They sit around in a 4-corner circle, and they got mics. And I mean, if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. I don't know him. I've ever seen him in my life today. Just happened upon the channel because I've been doing stuff about God of War. So of course, algorithm says, oh, he wants to know. All right, yeah, I'm doing my own, but I don't need to know everything. I just want to know what I want specifically. But of course, it don't work that way. It just throw you all kind of stuff that it thinks you might like. But this was a good one. I did like this because they were having a real educated conversation about it. I sensed that just like anybody in a conversation like that, some people knew a little more historically than others did. But they were trying, and I appreciate that from these young cats. I mean, it was all like 20-something, 30-something, you know. And I don't know, one of them was like, well, yo, in my opinion, like, if you got the voice, and we know the voiceovers were 2 black men in both games. You know, T.C. Carson, the first one, Christopher Judge, the second, the newer, you know, Viking lore version. So, whether you see the energy of someone of direct African descent when you look at the video game character, at least for the first one, because for the second one, it's pretty obvious. They have completely wanted to make it an ethnic, physical display of someone who could be of primarily Nordic, Scandinavian descent. Okay, cool. Proper even, right? If that's the world you built it in, that's what it is. I'm with that. I'm all for that. I like that. Because I don't want you messing with, we're going to do a Ghanaian story and the king looks like, you know, Anthony Hopkins. And that's one of my favorite actors of all time. I love Anthony Hopkins. He's brilliant. He's freaking amazing. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to see him play no king of Ghana. You know what I mean? So I'm cool with proper casting and all that. And I'm also, being an actor, I come from theater. So I understand, well, let me say this. Let me take that back. I don't come from theater. I respect theater. I'm more of a film actor. I've never really done theater. But I've been to many a play. I know a lot of actors who come from that tradition. And that is the origin of all that you watch on film. Before there was film, there was theater. So my mind honestly just immediately respects theater like it's the base of it all when it comes to acting, right? So I have a high respect for it. I've never had any interest in wanting to be a theater actor. It's a whole nother level. It's just not, you know, you don't get no breaks. There is no mistake. You just keep going, you know. It's not, there's no takes. There's like, hold on, what's the line? Can I do that again? And I like that. I love that, as a matter of fact. And then I'm a writer too, so my best situation is when I wrote it, and if I make a mistake, hell well, I'm gonna change the line. Shit, I wrote it, you know, it's like I have fun with it, right? But with this, you got a situation where, just like, and they did this comparison in this podcast, they were saying this, they said, I mean, if you look back at the history of Star Wars, there's a lot of history of these white characters that have black voices, like Darth Vader. Darth Vader was the late, great James Earl Jones. That's the voice. That's the iconic energy of the character, is that voice. I mean, you got a guy in a mask and a full bodysuit. You can't tell what his ethnicity is. You don't care, really. You just know that this voice speaks volumes of his authority and his power. And it's, I told you, you don't know the power of the dark side. I mean, it's just, as soon as that shit hits your soul, you just like, damn. Yeah, when Vader speaks, he speaks, damn it, right? So, you know, he's just one of those great voices for all time. And to this day, it's sad. I mean, most any real Star Wars fan knows, but there's still some goofies out here that you know, because they know that, okay, Vader without his mask on is depicted by a white actor, whether he was the young version or the elder version. So they just like, no, he's not black, he's not, you know, and then they want to even argue online about it. It's like, look, silly, no one's saying that, no one's not acknowledging the actor who portrayed him when his mask got taken off. But for 3 freaking movies, he was only a black man's voice, right? Right. So it gets awkward with a game, because you got this digital pixeled version of a human being that resembles features of certain phenotypes. And quite frankly, if you observe the first Kratos, and I'll say this too, it depends on which game of Kratos, because when I looked at the footage from, say, the very first game, and I may have this out of order, but I know from what I think I remember I was watching, the very first game that he ever appeared, and let me add this before I go in on all this too. There are certain, it don't matter how big the lips or the wide the nose or any, I'm mixed. Every human being is mixed. Some of us are mixed more with genes that equal various percentages of certain sizes, shapes of nose, lip, distance of eyes, nose, lips, forehead shape, forehead size, total head size, shape, etc., etc. And there are genuinely specific things about all of us as human beings that are dead giveaways to our ethnic lineages. Like, I've literally met people that, though, you know, if someone asks me, so what are you? I say, well, you know, your quick answer is, oh, you know, I'm a human being. I say, I'll mess with you even harder. I'd be like, I'm an alien, goddamn, you know. I ain't from this. I don't want to be what y'all are. Since y'all always all over the place and crazy as hell any damn way. I don't even want to be human, right? But no, in real talk of, yes, I'm human, and I have the blood of original human beings in me, like straight up, from the continent of Africa, from which all humanity evolved. We all came out of it. All right. Homo sapiens sapien first established in Africa. If anybody can find anybody get mad about it, it don't matter that you're mad. That's just your ignorance and your hatred because of you believing the constructs and superiority complexes of what it gets set up when people set up superior systems of hierarchies and government controlling and dominating and conquering and all that other nonsense that makes the world a hot mess. It's always gonna be until we get past that way of thinking, which is the hardest thing for human beings to damn do, it seems. It must be it is the bane of our existence to figure out how to stop thinking that somebody's supposed to be at the front of the class when you weren't even the firstborn. Like, you can't respect the order of family. You don't even have family, so you don't have family in your own family, so you don't respect the human family. So you gotta respect the concept of the human family. Okay? And so we are all one, whether you want to be or not. Your so-called enemies, yeah, we still connect. Them still your cousins. You know? People you can't stand and wish they didn't exist. It don't matter. They still your cousins. They still your cousins. In some cases, they're your granddaddy, your grandma. They might be your mama and your daddy. You know what I'm saying? It gets deep, y'all. It gets deep. So when I look at the character, the way he was depicted, mind you, it's a fictional account. Everybody in the game is exaggerated. Nobody looks, it wasn't made to look like how nowadays we got games like the newer God of War. They went for as close to a real person per character as possible. Sans anybody who had special abilities or is obviously symbolically representing a character that is, mystical of some sort. Like the one guy you buy your stuff from, and he's the dwarf, and he's got blue skin. And I love that. The first time I saw him, I said, oh, that's cool as hell. You know what I'm saying? And that's a tradition throughout many cultures, especially in Asia and in Africa. But it is something that can also apply to parts of European cultures here and there. That it definitely is a part of the history. You know, they call it the Celts. blue men in some instances because they used to wear so much of this certain blue dye or paint, war paint, and then they had tattoos too, okay, that had that bluish tone on the skin, so that's why they got that name. So, you know, it could go on and on and on for all that. But this guy, like I say, his whole complexion, not a tattoo or anything, he's blue. So I was like, that's it. I like that. And I want to dig more into that character later once I find out more about him, because I got to research, you know, where did they decide, if I can find some notes. It's always hard to get that stuff, but every now and then we get lucky and they do the interviews with the developers and you get the real life story of why they sat down and said, we're going to do this with this character, or he's going to look like this, she's going to look like that, why, and who was inspiration. I love that when you finally get to it. And there's enough stuff out there that I might find it. So, and if anybody knows of anything specific about that one character, I don't even know his name by heart, but y'all know who I'm talking about. You buy your goods from him. You buy your armor and your weapons from me. So, as I was saying, okay, so I'm talking about God of War, his perceived ethnicity in the original Greek trilogy, his voice, the Greek trilogy and the Viking trilogy. And in both game series, he was portrayed voice-wise by two very phenomenal, profound black actors, voice talents, etc. T.C. Carson in the first with the Greek one, and in the Viking lore one, Christopher Judge. Okay, these award-winning, legendary talents. And so on this one podcast I was watching, where these four black guys were analyzing that, they were saying, you know, hey, they always gonna get these black guys to do these voices. It's not, you know, always is a general statement. They didn't say that. You know, I'm not even gonna say they say that, but they gave examples. You know, the history of it with Darth Vader being portrayed by James Earl Jones with voice, etc. It's a history of this, and it's constant. You can find it throughout. Keith David done voiced so many characters. Oh my gosh, legendary, you know, actor, and again, voice talent that is amazing on the mic. And it's because there's a certain gravitas, and there's a certain flavor, and there's a certain swag, and there's a certain distinct, unique role of the deep voice that is just particularly common to some, S-O-M-E, some gifted black folks with those kind of voices. But it is something that is kind of traditional amongst a lot of people of direct African descent in some of the languages, even. Not all, in S-O-M-E. I can't say some enough online for the ignorance of some people that will. Your voice and their natural voices, because of regions. You know, your voice is a result of your region, where you grew up, how you're currently, where you are. If you change places that you live in a lifetime, your voice will change over a certain period of time. This is scientific fact. It's just the air in different places affects your voice, the food you eat, the every other substance you deal with. If you're a smoker, you a drinker, all that liquor and alcohol, you know, and cigars and all this stuff does stuff to your voice. Okay, and so, you know, and not everybody does any of those other things I was just talking about to have these voices. Some of the people already have that kind of voice without being around that. But I know that still what I'm talking about is a fact. Like, I'll never forget when I used to teach art to little kids, and there was this little girl one time at this center I went to. It was the cutest but the saddest thing at the same time, because she was one of these kids, you know, I was in the hood, and these kids they were a trip. This Red Oak projects, for anybody who know, the Red Oak apartments in College Park, Atlanta. And this little girl was like sitting there, and it was like all the other kids had typical voices for their age, like, Mr. Such and Such, can I get this, man? You know, that certain little light tone to their voice. No, this little girl sounded like, yeah, so we gonna be doing some art today. I said, wait, well, who is that sounding like? Who is? And I look and see the littlest thing in the class. I said, baby, why is your voice like that? She's like, this is my natural voice. And somebody said, her mama be smoking cigarettes. I said, oh Lord, damn, you know, it's messed up. It was sad, because this might even, I mean, it became her voice. Maybe her voice was already naturally deep, but it's like 10 octaves lower and grittier, because she's breathing freaking, you know, the result of that nonsense, and it's messing her up. So, you know, so I'm just saying, that's one example of how that can be a, you know, the chemical effect. But aside from all that, just like natural voice, there's also been people I've met that were kids, like I'm saying, same age as me in elementary school, and they already had a deep voice. He's like, how you get, or the one kid in class that's got a mustache. You know what I'm saying? Testosterone be different in different boys and stuff. So some people just naturally have them voices. Like I remember I met the legendary Mr. Kevin Grievous, the werewolf from Underworld, and the writer, one of the writers of Underworld, you know, the whole Vampires versus Werewolves series. Yeah, Kevin Grievous. I met him, sat arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder with the brother at a Jamaican restaurant after going to ECBAC up in Philly. Shout out ECBAC, ECBACC, East Coast Black Asian Comics Convention. It's my peoples up there, Yumi, Odom, the whole crew, everybody. Much respect, much love forever. Y'all know what it is. All my Philly people. But no, he was in town as a special guest to the event that year. And so after we wrapped and I was, you know, one of the vendors, we all, you know, I knew everybody already because I had been up there a few times. And we went out to hang out on South Street. And I remember we went to this Jamaican place and I sat next to him and I could never get, it give you chills when somebody got a voice like this, crazy. Because it's his real voice. He's not putting on. It sounds like it's made up, but it's just his natural voice. This dude literally sounds like he's growling. Everything he sounds like. I was like, yo, this is ill, right? And he's a big dude, so it's like it fits the stereotype of that kind of voice too. Like, you know, you look for a big person when you hear a voice like that. You look for a muscular person. He's all the above. You know, he's big, huge dude, muscular and everything. You know. Has done stunt work, is a professional actor, is a director, is a producer, is a writer. He's all those things. He does all that stuff. So, yeah, man, really cool cat too. But my point is, these are the kind of voices they seek out when they want a certain presence in these projects, these film shows, these video games and everything. And it's not to say that other ethnicities don't have voices amongst them that can be right in the, hey, who else can we call? Yeah, but large in part, if you look at the history of these types of characters, like I said, a great bit of them have been these phenomenal black talents. It's just a fact. It's nothing to debate. It's just what you're gonna say or I can say some of the most well-known. How about that? I mean, God of War is one of the greatest selling video games of all time. The two guys that voiced the main character, black guys. Darth Vader is without a doubt one of, if not the greatest, definitely the greatest, most well-known science fiction, space opera-based villain of all time. Ain't nobody gonna debate that with me. I see how I put that. The way I worded that, you can't fade that. You can't do nothing with that but say, yeah. I ain't asking you. I know what the hell I'm telling. I ain't, see, other folks talk all iffy, and I don't talk iffy. I say exactly what the hell I meant. Because I know it's true, okay? If I'm saying it to be fact, it's fact. You can look it up on your own time, but I know it's true. No, nothing compared to Darth Vader when it comes to that, what I said. And when it comes to space-based science fiction, most famous villains of all time, Darth Vader, top of the list. Done. What are we talking about? Nobody else. Yeah. Just give me all the facts. That's all. Just give me all the facts. So, I just feel that if you consider that, though, right, that these voices are what make the character for real. Like the late great, speak of another great voice, Guru from Gangstar, the hip-hop legendary group that featured Guru and DJ Premier. That's Gangstar. And then there's a whole bunch of other people that make up the whole Gangstar crew. But those on paper, on wax, as a group, as a hip-hop entity, those are the two people. And there was plenty of other people who were members of, you know, the group, so to speak, like even J. Rue the Damager, and oh my gosh, a whole bunch of group home, whole bunch of folks. But Guru's voice was so unique, right? And he had a song where he said, it's mostly the voice that gets you hyped. It's mostly the voice. And I can't even imitate him. My voice don't even, it's just own flavor, but mine don't sound like his. And even if I try to imitate him, nah. But that rest his soul. I know I know when he was alive, he must have been getting offers, man. You got a distinct that group was never that group was never fully celebrated the way it should have and could have and would have been. It is now, unfortunately. Now he's past. I mean, you know, anybody who's a real hip hopper, you gonna know who, you know, Gang Starr was. You gonna know DJ Premier. You gonna know Guru. But yeah, I mean, but if you into nothing but only what's going on now, then I ain't talking about y'all, because you're not a real hip hopper if you don't do the history. If you just stuck in your own generation and you don't even look back, you ain't real. That you can't say you're a fan of the music for real, and not respect where it came from. That's not how that go. You gotta respect jazz before it. You gotta respect blues. You gotta respect R&B. You gotta know black music, quite frankly. You gotta know about some everything, Caribbean music, everything. You gotta know a lot, and then really know enough to appreciate even what may not ring your bell, so to speak. Like, you know, I'm not a blues head, but I respect the blues. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit around listening to the blues because it gives me the blues, and life can have enough blues already. I don't need my music to sound like what you're going through when it get rough, but I respect it. I definitely respect it, and I understand it would be none of what I love if it weren't for it. So that's how it go, and it's like that with everything. And I'm like, with these voices, you know, it's cracking me up when I look at the comments when people make videos like this. You know, they're doing clickbait, of course, which is smart for YouTube if you do it, you know, responsibly. And, you know, they say, you know, Kratos is black. Like, I'm going to do my video. I'm going to say, Kratos is black. Deal with it. You know, because the point is, you can get mad all you want. The truth is, he wouldn't be the character you love without that voice. If Ben Affleck had done his voice, right? Affleck fan, I just more or less respect that he's maintained in the biz. That's for damn sure. He still gets roles. He's still respected. He's definitely not my favorite actor or anything. But what he did, Batman, I mean, he did all right. I mean, why certain things are done a certain way. You know, Destro, the legendary villain on G.I. Joe. That's a black man. There's like 3 other Transformers that he did. He did, golly, I'm trying to remember his name at the same time. I just did a video for him, shouting him out not too long ago. Just, you know, when I found this out, I wanted to make sure I put up something about it for ONYXCON, you know. It's there. I admit, I don't know every single name I even celebrate. I just, you know, some people are unforgettable names that I've been knowing so long, I can't forget them. And other ones are new to my memory, but I can see his face right now as I'm saying it. I can literally see this man's face. He's transitioned. He's been gone. He's an ancestor, but he's a distinct voice. And he did Devastator, you know, the big merging of the Constructicons for the Decepticons on Transformers. Yeah, that's him. That's his voice. Destro, that is him. Yeah. You go back to Panthro on Thundercats. Cool ass Panthro. Man, Panthro was the same gentleman who played Grandpa on the Cosby Show. Okay? Grandpa on the Cosby Show. That's Panthro. You see what I'm saying? So there's no way around it, man. When you start talking about these voices, you start talking about the levels of these voices and all this amazing talent and these certain unique characters. You know, and then we can get into other levels of representation that don't get mentioned. I mean, if you want to get into who's wearing the suit on some of these aliens and monster characters and things that you would love and everything. Godzilla is a black man. What's up, TJ Storm? That's the homie. What's up, Storm? You know what I'm saying? TJ Storm, I interviewed him. The reason I'm wearing this hat right now, this is from the Magician Show. Shout out to Rick Worthy, the legend, Dean Fogg himself. If you know his voice, wow. You know, Rick has done voice work like that. His presence is voice work, whatever. He's a physical actor. It's like, shit, man, that voice. Rick got that voice, man. Smooth with it, too, just naturally. I can't even do it. That laugh he got, man, shit, come on. It's crazy. You know, the Alpha Vamp. Supernatural. That's Rick Worthy, man. So I'm saying there's a long heritage and history of this, and I think the other part of it is sometimes it's like black folk feel picked apart. Like, oh, you can use our voice, but you don't want to see me. And in some cases, you know, take the work is still a great opportunity to go with it regardless. But in other cases, it's like, you know, I could do that, right? that could be me, you know. It doesn't have to be somebody else in the physical, or another depiction in the physical. It could be me. I mean, I could really do the whole thing. You get all of me and my voice as the character. So like with Christopher Judge, I gotta research this to be sure, but I heard some speculation that before they did cast this character, he had said, you know, I'd be willing to play Kratos too. Now that was a stretch for some, I'm sure. They thought, oh, you know what? Oh, wait a minute now. you don't look how we want him to look. Yeah, okay. But here's the funny thing about that. Did you ever see the original Dick Tracy movie? The comic book, you know, Sunday paper detective character. Now I know I'm going old school to where my young folk ain't gonna know what the hell I just said. And if they silly, all they gonna hear is the first name and start making stupid ass jokes. But listen, the character's name was Dick Tracy. He was a detective, right? This is my father's era of cartoons, all right? And it was in the Sunday newspaper. It might still be it's maybe still in syndication to this day for all I know. Because newspapers ain't, you know, I don't remember the last time I saw a newspaper, right? But they still make them here and there, right? But bottom line is, he was a legendary character. And they had a movie that came out, I want to say early, maybe, was that early 90s, mid 90s, I would guess, or late 90s, mid or late 90s, I would think. But it was an homage to that character and that history. So I forget the name of the actor, I can see his face, that played Dick Tracy, but for all the villains, see, they had all these awkward looking characters where they were drawn, like, you know, blockhead, and literally the guy's head was shaped like a block, or Mumbles, and Mumbles had a real mushy looking face and squinty eyes and stuff. So there were all these, you know, various ethnic groups of Euro-based people, okay, white actors, gentlemen playing these characters. Al Pacino played the main mobster, okay, and he did amazing as always. Al Pacino is the man, forever and a day. But they gave him prosthetics, and it was some of the best makeup. It won awards, I think, for it, if I remember right. It won awards because this makeup was incredible. Like, after you add in the lighting and the costume, and they wanted it to look a little campy because Dick Tracy was brightly colored. This is from the era of first comics where, you know, he used a lot of primary colors, just straight up red. A girl got on a red dress. It's just red, not a variant. It's you know, it's fire truck red, not any other hue that people wonder, is that a red? No, it's just red, you know. Bright ass yellow for Dick Tracy's jacket, you know, his trench coat, his hat. Everybody, and this is the 40s and stuff, so everybody's got on like suit style suits and stuff. Some of the gangsters and whatnot. Big bold pinstripes. I'm talking about wide ass pinstripes, you know. It was a whole look to this film, and it was amazing. It was a really good film. I'll never forget when I first heard about it. I thought, how bad is this gonna be, right? Oh gosh, what is that mess about to be? But it turned out to be a damn decent, fun popcorn movie. You know, it was not a bad movie, and I was most impressed with the makeup, how they made these characters look like exaggeration of themselves. So I'm saying Christopher Judge with prosthetics, shit, it's like The Rock just did, what's the movie, The Hurt Machine, where, you know, they gave him makeup to look like, I wouldn't say he looked white, but he looked at best, you know, Mediterranean white, you know, or something like that. Like, he could pass for, or even, I would just say Latin white, like a white Latino. You know, he looked to me like he could pass for a white Peruvian or a white Argentinian or something, or white Mexican. Like, that's the look he had to me. Once they, you know, did what they did to his face and gave him the hair and stuff, all the straight hair or whatever. But I'm saying, Christopher Judge, now, first of all, he's got hair. And he seems pretty attached to his hair. So I couldn't see him wearing one of those bald things that never look right. Now, I don't care what, if you got hair underneath one of them bald caps, it never makes you look like you got a bald head. It doesn't. It just doesn't look natural. So I couldn't see that. If they tried that, it would look horrible. I think it would look really, really bad. Really bad. Right? But we're in the age of AI and all that, man. I mean, come on, they could put a green or a blue screen cap, like you just wear like a blue or green freaking skull cap while he's acting, and then later on in post effects, man, they'll put anything on you, and you'll damn near believe it. You know, it may not be absolutely convincing, but it's a video game movie. You're gonna have plenty of CGI. You gotta have CGI to make the monsters and stuff work properly, and what they're gonna do with all that, and the special effects. So it could have been done, is my point. It could have been done. And I got a video, because I just, I told y'all I am at this stage in my artist career. I add to my resume that I am an AI whisperer, so to speak. I'm a writer, so I'll write prompts that give me results of images I have in my mind, and keep tweaking it till I get it as close, if not damn near. That's almost it. Like, it's never absolute. Nothing is ever absolute, but it's pretty damn amazing when it gets, because I'm not talking about say something and walk away and don't come back to it. I'm talking about say something, keep telling it to get it right, look up, damn, it's an hour. Look up another, oh shit, it's another hour. We talking about putting in hours. We talking about some real serious process. We're just getting images, not even animated, because people who do the animated, oh man, I can only imagine how much time they spend talking to the computer trying to get exactly what you end up seeing. And it can't even be that long yet, because the technology hasn't reached the point where they're doing a full movie, unless you put a lot of clips together. You put a bunch of, I've seen one recently actually, that was a short, where somebody did their version of like a planet where the predators, the Yautja, from the Predator series movies, they was like the wolf predator and some other ones that are famous, and they mixed up, they pretty much put all the best, coolest looking film alien predators in one short film. And it was like one elder master one was testing the young ones, and the young ones looked like the ones from Prey. There were two of them, they were like twins from Prey. Yeah, y'all. This doggone heat out here is messing my phone up. I had to reboot it again. It got hot. I gotta keep it under the air or it just goes out. It's just, man, we are, damn. It's like we back to damn summertime temperatures. What is it? Oh, no wonder why. It's 77 degrees outside, y'all. Shot. Shot. I mean, dang, man. It's 77 degrees out there. That's why. So when it's coming through that glass on that windshield, oh, it's just frying your phone if you got it sitting on a holder on my dash. I might have to figure out something else. I don't know what I'm gonna get. For years I've been saying I was gonna get me one of these things that clamps on your like above here on your blind, your sun blind. Like put it on this or something and run it off to the side, or like whatever I gotta do to keep it out the sun, because it's not working. It's not working, and I do this too much for it not to work. It's gotta work. I can't have this nonsense. I gotta be able to work. I don't know, maybe I can clip it on my, I'm gonna figure this out. But as I was talking, trying to finish my freaking thought without anything just falling apart, like, God dang, can a brother finish my sentence before this thing goes off again? I swear, it's really annoying. I was just gonna say that when it comes to the voiceovers and everything, and the history of that, as I was saying, with these various games and properties, let me see, this might work. It's gonna be weird, but it might work. I have to, let's see here. Do that. Y'all gonna be looking out the window while I'm driving. That's gonna be